Hey, everybody, welcome. And thank you for listening to this episode of Marriage Therapy Radio. My name is Zach Brittle, and I'm feeling refreshed. Rebecca and I had a date night last night. We went to the Olive Garden. We watched a Rob Reiner movie, and if you know, you know. And if you don't know, you're about to find out in this conversation that I have with Glenn Berkline and Jodie Spears. Before that, though, I wanted to say something about date night. We here at Marriage Therapy Radio, we're kind of getting excited about date night. It's something that comes up in my practice a lot, like how do couples spend time together in ways that are novel and interesting. And so we've been exploring some of that. We found some partners that we think would be cool. Rebecca and I are trying out different, you'd have to call them products, I suppose, which we're going to be letting you know about in the coming weeks and months. If you'd like to learn more, a good way to do that is to follow us on Instagram at Marriage Therapy Radio. We'll have some of those links there. But just a way to kind of feel connected and more engaged in ways that aren't boring. One example, which is not quite date night, but is how we're trying to figure out how to, add some variety to our life, is we bought a video game. We started playing it last week after Christmas. And it's one of these games where we have to play together. We are currently in a fight with a vacuum cleaner that I am determined to defeat. And I can't wait to tell you more about our video game playing, particularly once we beat this vacuum cleaner together and move on into whatever the next phase is. I'm looking forward to telling you more about it. But yes, go ahead, follow us on Marriage Therapy Radio at Instagram, and you'll see more about different date nights coming up here in the next little bit. For now, I'm excited to share this conversation with you. I thought it was going to go one way and it went another. We talked a lot about how a couple can bond together in the face of adversity. Glenn and Jodie started this business together, marketing podcast business, and I thought I would hear a little bit about what they've learned and how they have navigated working together and some of their philosophies around coupledom. But we took a pretty sharp turn early on in the conversation toward how they have navigated a personal health crisis and how they've built their relationship in the midst of trying to navigate all that. So again, I'm excited to share it with you. This is a very cool conversation. Stick around. I have a question that I've been asking people just because I think it's fun and I'm interested. Do you have a favorite letter of the alphabet?
Huh. I'm partial to J with Jodie because I can do a big loop with my signature. I like that.
Yeah.
I like A because it's the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the start.
Yeah.
What does that tell you about us?
I don't know.
Self-centered and he's about new beginnings.
I don't know. I've started asking this question a lot. When I tell you what my favorite letter is, it's going to tell you that I'm weird and I think about things a little bit too much. And sometimes the way I think about things doesn't make sense to a lot of people. Yesterday I was at my gym, and at my gym every day they have a question of the day. So like people just ask it. And I think yesterday it was something like I'll ask you this question too. Between the time your alarm goes off and the time you get out of bed, what's the gap? Is it instantaneous? Do you snooze 7 times? Like how long does it take between the time your alarm goes off and the time you get out of bed?
I actually set an alarm, but I always wake up beforehand.
That's the best.
Yeah, my alarm is just as a precaution if I should oversleep, but I pretty much wake up every day around the same time, between 6 and 7, just even on weekends. So.
Yeah.
And I'm his alarm.
I'm the snoozer.
Right on.
Definitely. I'm a night owl. So, Jodie's in bed usually by 9:30 at night.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'll be up till 1 or 2 in the morning. And I don't think that it's so much that I'm trying to, prove something just by staying up longer than she does. But it's, I don't know, my dad was that way. And I think my grandpa was that way. It's probably genetic to some degree.
I'm with you. I need at least 15 minutes of by myself time in my house after everybody else has gone to sleep. It's almost like a melatonin of its own. It's like I just actually need to be by myself for a little while. And sometimes 15 minutes becomes a couple of hours, but I'm the same way. Once my family goes to sleep, I have the house to myself, and that's an important time of night for me. So I don't think that's right or wrong. I think it just is.
On and watch a movie or something, and I'll come down sometimes. I'm like, he's not in bed yet, and it's like 4:00, and he'd fallen asleep on the couch.
Yeah,
I've seen that before. But a lot of times, since we own basically 2 businesses, there will be work to do at night. And we're pretty good about setting boundaries between work and home.
Okay.
But working from home, it's very convenient for me to pick something up that maybe requires 10 or 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And then get engrossed in something else because I'm a little bit ADD. And before I know it, a couple of hours have passed. So
Yeah, I feel you.
It's very challenging, very tricky.
Yeah.
Anyway,
So
back to me.
You didn't tell your favorite letter.
No, so I'm at the gym yesterday and they're asking us this question about the alarm clock. And meanwhile, the trainer is telling us to stand on one foot and with the other foot, draw the alphabet with our toe just to stretch out, like just to get our ankles moving. And it occurred to me, I was like, do you have a favorite letter? I asked the lady next to me and a guy next to me. And they were like, I don't know. So the whole gym then took over the new question. It was about 10 of us. And we all talked about our favorite letter in the moment. And it was wild because people are all over the map and they have different reasons and some of them, but I'm partial to P. I like the letter P. So I like it for a lot of reasons. I like the way it sounds. I like things like pepperoni pizza and pumpkin pie and pepper pots. That just makes me happy. I like that P has like a little secret. Like you can have like a hard P and then like the F, like you can have Pittsburgh and you can also have Philadelphia, which I think is kind of cool. And I like that P is both like straight and round. So you got like a straight. So
You thought this out.
I know. This is the way my brain works. I think about this stuff all the time.
Gosh.
I'm just be walking around going, I wonder if everybody on the planet has a favorite letter and a thorough explanation for why they have a favorite letter.
Well, your favorite letter is probably your least favorite. As an audio engineer, you're popping your P's. You're popping your P's.
Is that right?
Swallow your P.
I'm a reformed recording engineer, so it's in my DNA, I guess, to try to make sure that those transients and plosives don't intrude in the signal, in the purer signal.
Right on.
So
how many people are in your house?
Well, we just empty nested. So I've got my wife, Rebecca. We've been married for almost 30 years. We got married in 97, but our first date was in 96. So we've been together. January 11th was our first date. So this will come out after that, I think, or right about that. So January 11th, 96 was our first date. So we've been together about 30 years.
Oh, wow.
This is a fun story.
That's outstanding.
On our first date, we went to the Olive Garden for dinner. And we saw in the theater the movie The American President, which is a Rob Reiner film. And what's his name? Aaron Sorkin wrote that movie. And that movie holds up. So every year on January 11th, we go to the Olive Garden and we watch The American President. And
that's sweet.
It's actually a little bit more important to us than our actual anniversary, which is in August. But we have two daughters and they are both adults. So my older daughter just graduated from college and my younger daughter just graduated from high school. And they're both home right now for the holiday, for kind of the winter break, but they're also both headed out on their adventures a little bit later in the spring. So at the moment, there are 4 people in our house, but we're headed to 2 here pretty soon. What about you guys?
Well, it's just been the 2 of us. He has 2 children from a previous marriage, and
They're both grown.
Yeah, they're grown. They're in their 30s, and they would stay here, but they didn't primarily live here because they live just down the street, actually, not far from us. So it was easy enough to see them on a fairly regular basis. But they didn't need to live here, but they stayed here on occasion.
Okay,
just the 2 of us. Since
how long have you guys been together?
Together, or first we'll do marriage.
I'm going to let you take that.
Well,
always mess it up.
Yeah, our first date was we met on December 28th at a between Christmas and New Year's party, and then our first date was New Year's. I was like, pretty tricky. Make sure you got a kiss on the first date. But our first date was New Year's Eve on 2001. And then we got married in 2004. We were going to get married earlier, but I don't know how much you know of our story. He proposed to me in June of 2003. Then in August of that same year, I was diagnosed with breast cancer.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So,
I did see that.
Yeah, so we postponed until I went through treatment and had everything, my hair growing back and all of that. So we got married in November 2004. So we would have been married longer, but we decided to postpone.
What's that like? Breast cancer. What was that whole journey? I mean, not the whole journey, but like, how do you make sense of that in hindsight?
Well, Actually,
At first, you really don't.
yeah.
You know, the weight of it, I remember, and probably always will, when the doctor called us in after her surgery. She had a lumpectomy, and they knew right away. So they called us back to the
My
room.
parents were here, and he was with my
And
parents.
it was surreal. You know, it was one of those times where if you're in a movie, you're watching a movie and one of those Zoom dolly things happens.
Yeah,
Where
crash Zoom or
everything
something.
just,
Yeah.
it was, you asked how we handled it or how it was. It just wasn't at first. It
At
was
first.
very
This is something that
zen, I
it
guess.
bothered him for a little while. He was actually the one who told me I had cancer, not my doctor. Because the doctor had met with them while I was in recovery and still, asleep. He came in and I knew it was a lumpectomy. I didn't know it was going to be whether it was cancer or not. I just knew it was large enough, had to be removed. And I was hoping it'd be benign. He came in and I said, well, so what's going on? And he was the one who told me, and he always felt bad about it. But I was like, I would rather someone who loved me tell me this news than a doctor who's probably told hundreds of people the same thing. So he felt bad, but I was like, you know what? It was probably the best case scenario that you were the one to break the news to me. Then at that time, we didn't know what it would entail. And we met with the surgeon later, and she talked about the chemotherapy I would be doing and whether I would get a mastectomy and all of that. And she actually said a lot of men, because we were just engaged at this time, will leave when this diagnosis comes around. And it made him so angry. And my dad, though, was sitting right beside him, and under his breath, he goes, "You better not." Like that. So it was a bit of a threat.
Yeah.
My dad was a former police officer, and it's like kind of try to, the badass persona if he could. He was like, "You better not," but he was never going to. But it really offended him.
Well, Glenn, did it cross your mind? I mean, it crossed my mind. As you're here, you're not quite married. It's the beginning of a thing, and then you get this.
No,
That's
never
awesome.
once.
Yeah.
We had been together long enough that I knew that this was the match for me. And it just looked like another challenge. I guess part of it, this is a long story. I'm going to encapsulate it in one sentence. If you've got the one, you don't let that go. It's,
okay. I'll bite, because I don't believe in the one. And I am interested to know why you found that language, and what does that mean to you? Like how did you understand the one?
The way I see it is that Jodie and I connect on every level, and that is so rare. I mean, I've had other relationships before where that didn't happen. In fact, none of them. And I think that we met at the right stage of each of our lives. I think that we had done what we wanted to do professionally. So there wasn't anything like we're going to, get up and move every 3 or 4 years and disrupt things. And personally, it was just at every turn, it was just, this is a fit. This is a great fit.
Jodie, did you have that sense that this is
Yeah.
the one?
I mean, definitely. I would joke that this is his second marriage, my first, and then only. But yeah, we have the connection, the sense of humor, the same set of beliefs, and it just feels like this is the right fit. And it really, I couldn't ask for anything better, because he is such a natural caregiver, where I'm the one through our relationship who has needed the caregiving. So it's he's just such a giving person, and I just really, really, we connected. And that's where I'm like, yes, I do believe in the one. And I think that we were lucky enough to find that.
I didn't think that the one was possible or a viable thing until I met Jodie. I was in your camp.
Yeah. How fast did you know between December 28th and January 31st or whatever? December,
almost. Well, I looked across the room. We were at a friend's party, and that's where we met. And she was across the room, and my friend met me at the door. He said, "Hey, what's going on?" And I said, I want you to introduce me around to everybody, but be sure to introduce me to that chick who's in the kitchen up there. But don't do it right away.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's trying to be slick about it, but I kind of knew.
Slick.
But I did exactly what you shouldn't do. He was introduced to me, and I was talking to somebody, so I continued that conversation. And he left to another room, and I went in, and I was like, "Hey, I'm sure you've probably forgotten my name because I forgot yours." And he's like, "No, Jodie." And I'm like, "Okay, well, can you introduce yourself to me again?" Because we had that when I made eye contact in the kitchen, there was something there, and I just was so distracted that I forgot his name and totally did what you shouldn't do to make a good impression. It's like, hey, I forgot who you are.
Yeah.
But yeah, we probably, I don't know. We dated. We just found each other. We took a while before we would just say L word. We didn't say love for a while. I will admit that I was probably more commitment phobic. Just because I just hadn't found anybody, and I was just like, I didn't want to rush into anything, and so I kind of hesitated on us saying it. And you even sent me flowers, and you just put L at the bottom. But then I was the first one to tell him after he was telling me a really dirty joke that was just cracked me up.
Still the dirtiest joke I know.
Dirtiest joke. Cracked me up.
You're going to have to tell us. Yeah.
No.
NSF. And it wasn't about
safe for words. It's not the aristocrats. Is it the aristocrats?
No. It wasn't about the joke.
Pigs.
No, it wasn't about the joke. But it was just we were laying in bed to be personal, and he was telling me, and I just was like, you know what? I have never felt this comfortable with anybody, and I just said it right then and there. I was like, I love you, and he's like, okay, I didn't expect that.
Yeah. I was like, I'm going to have to tell you more dirty jokes.
But it wasn't about the joke. It was just, here we are on a Saturday morning, and he's just telling me this joke that, I'm like, okay, it's kind of funny, but you know what? I just love this moment. But yeah, and to kind of go back a little bit to the cancer diagnosis too, is that was not our only time with cancer.
Okay.
In 2009, this is after we've been married, it metastasized. So I have stage 4 metastatic breast cancer.
Sorry, you just used the word have. Like you have or you had? Where are we at now?
I have.
Okay. That's intense.
Well, I still have to take some medicine on a regular basis. So just real quick recap, 2009, it metastasized, spread to my sternum, which means it spread to your bone.
Mm-hmm.
It's still breast cancer, but it's in the bone. Had to go through treatment. Then it had another recurrence in 2012, and that was to a lymph node. Then another one in 2016. Since then, knock on wood, I have not had any. I get scans every 6 months. I haven't had any other recurrence, but I still take a targeted therapy medicine each night, and I still go to an oncologist every 9 weeks. And then I also have since been diagnosed with bladder cancer, but that is all self-contained. So cancer has been a huge part of our lives. From the beginning. So unfortunately, he stayed. He stayed.
Did you say?
I know. Unfortunately, the cancer did too.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but fortunately, not yet.
Well, this has been great, and you'll get bunches of clicks on this because I'm out.
Yeah, see you later.
No, fortunately, he stayed, but unfortunately, the cancer did as well. So it's been, so technically, once you're stage 4, you're kind of always stage 4 because it means it metastasized in your body. So I always have to get scans and just, again, take some targeted therapies to address that.
All right. So, I don't have cancer. I've never had cancer. I've been spared the whatever. I don't know what the right word is, but I hear things like stage 4 and metastasize, and I'm like, you have 3 months to live or something like that. But you seem like you're just living it up, and you have the whole thing. You feel healthy. Like, what's the deal? Are you?
Well, they caught it very, very early.
Yeah.
It's because it's not always the same. Like, again, it was a small lesion in my bone. So technically, it did spread to another part of my body, which makes it metastasized. If it had just been, because once it goes to a bone or an organ, then you have to always worry about it appearing anywhere. So, but it's not what it used to be because of technology. I've gone through, again, had to go through chemo and radiation one time during those 3 recurrences, and I had to go through the whole thing. He shaved my head 3 of the 4 times. One time I did not lose my hair because of the chemo.
We were Twinkies for a little while.
We were Twinkies for a little
It was
while.
great.
But it's not.
Did she shave your head? Probably not. You're like, I got this.
He wouldn't trust
It was
me to do
already
that.
gone.
Yeah. You're like, look, it's not that bad. Trust me.
Yeah.
Just need a little extra suntan lotion.
That's right.
But yeah, I mean, we do worry there's going to be another recurrence, but it's one of those things that I guess I'm in remission, but I'm still taking a targeted therapy now. And I still have to monitor and I still have to watch it because it has escaped just the breast tissue in that area.
To your point a minute ago about you've got only so many days or months to live.
Yeah.
These days, they have started to treat cancer in a lot of cases that would have been that dire 40 years ago or 50 years ago as a chronic condition. Her bladder cancer, for example, they're treating it with immunotherapy.
Okay.
And, it's a genetically modified tuberculosis. I can't remember which.
I think.
They inject into the bladder. The immune cells go into overdrive.
That's amazing.
They kill that virus and they kill out any cancer cells. It's things that were, to me, science fiction.
Yeah.
And I guess that's what... I guess a hidden benefit of us not coming up with the ultimate cure for cancer.
Yeah.
We've got so many options now and so many treatments that it's not all doom and gloom always.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. If I'd had my diagnosis, in the 70s or 80s or even 90s, I probably would not be alive. Not be alive. But they've created enough in terms of radical treatments that you have to get done to fight back the cancer, and then other treatments that help prevent things. Like I think the drug I'm on kind of prevents the proteins that feed the cancer from forming or something. I don't know the science. I just trust my oncologist. But it's like I've been on this drug for since 2016. I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, 10 years.
Yeah. So because the other times we did different things, we did a different infusion for a year and stuff like that. So yeah, it's a very different world, but it has helped us, I think, put things in perspective because we've been through such, trying times where during my first diagnosis, I mean, he is having to hold my head up because I'm so sick. And again, like I said, shaving my head, feeling helpless because he couldn't do anything while I was, because, chemo is not for the, for the faint of heart. It is a tough thing, particularly the first round. And I don't know if it's the last 3 have not been as bad because of perspective. Like I've gone through that the worst. But he did a great job of being a caregiver. And even though he felt helpless in terms of trying, he did what he could to help me. And it just put so many things in perspective for us. So we don't sweat the small stuff as much.
Yeah. I think, cancer is one of these interesting ones because it's this disease that we've sort of culturally all accepted that you fight it. I'm going to kick cancer's ass, right? Like, and we don't think about that with autism or glaucoma or depression or, we think and I think we should. I think we ought to take anything that's an imposition on our well-being and on our way of life as a thing that we ought to combat. And for couples, what I think is really cool about your story is that you're clear that it's this thing that we're fighting together, like that we put cancer out there, even though it's in here, and we've said, how do the two of us come arm in arm? Alcoholism, we don't fight alcoholism, right? We just we suffer depression. We're afflicted with anxiety. So I think it's cool that you not that you have this living metaphor, but to be able to acknowledge that it's drawn us closer together because it's given us something else and to work on or to work against. I think that's a really critical element for a lot of couples that they don't have. They don't have the benefit of cancer, which is a super weird thing to say, but but they all have the benefit of something that they're combating. Even if it's apathy or atrophy, and when couples wrap their heads around that, then they have a chance to actually.
Yeah, you're on the same team. You're on a team together, and that has drawn us closer for sure.
Yeah.
It's again, like you said, it is one of those things that Sure, would we choose not to have it? Yeah, but we have seen the better part, like the best part of this is the friendships we formed. Our oncologist, I mean, every time if I go in myself, they miss him. They're like, "Where's Glenn?" And I'm like, at one point during the pandemic, when I still had to go in and get my, and they would only let one person, I actually FaceTimed him to the nurses because they missed seeing him.
Like the mascot now.
Yeah. And then when I was in the chemo lab, they were so great because he would always go and make sure I had everything I needed, my blanket, my water, my snacks, everything. And then he'd want to stick around, and they were like, but he would need to get some work done. They're like, "Hey, come here. We got an office we're not using. Here, set this up." And he would set his laptop up in there and then come out and check on me and go and do some work and stuff. But we formed some great friendships, and we formed a team. Like, we're in it together. Again, he goes to all of my, scans, most of my doctor's appointments. Again, they miss him when he's not there. I almost feel like they like him more. Because I'm like, "Hello, I'm right here. Hello."
Yeah.
And they're like, "Where's Glenn?"
Yeah.
So he made a lot of friends. He was always very focused, and one nurse would call him Smiley, ironically, when I was getting my chemo. Because he was just very focused, very,
It wasn't because I was smiling.
No, he was very much in his
during
zone.
the early phase, and I
Yeah. I was like, "She's not feeling well. We need to get her some." She's feeling a little upset to her stomach. Can we go ahead and get her something now? And do we have any crackers? She needs crackers. So he wasn't like demanding, but it was funny. He was very focused, and so she's like, "All right, Smiley." But then they got to know him, and it was good.
Yeah, she's great.
Yeah,
that's funny. All right, so you're good at bonding together in opposition to this health condition. What are you bad at?
Ooh,
I'll let you take that one.
I would say, for me, it is patience and understanding that people do things different ways. That is probably one of the grumbles we have is, I'm a thrower-awayer. He's a stacker and piler. I'm a get things done, now. Like, if I have 5 things and I can get 4 of them done now, I do those, even if one of them is just the priority. And he's the other way, where if I have 5 things, but one's a priority, I focus on that only. And I'm like, no, you could get these other 4 things done really quick. He goes, but this is more important. So we have opposite views. And because we work together, that is something that normally couples wouldn't have to worry about, how someone works and how someone prioritizes. That's probably, at least for me, I know I struggle, and I try to work on understanding that, okay, people do things different ways. I would do it this way. Let that go. But that would probably be something that we kind of grumble about, right? Would you not agree?
Yes. She's right.
You don't have to agree. People do things differently.
Yeah.
So that would be me. I don't know what you call that, as much as just, and I think I don't have patience. He says I have patience, but I don't really. But I'd say that's our biggest conflict, I think. And that's one reason why, we work together. We always try to have a meeting, and I try to, step back if I can. But I do like to use my organization skills and kind of focus things. But sometimes I kind of can go a little overboard, I guess. Now go ahead, your turn.
Wow.
What she said.
I second that. I think for me, I'm not diagnosed, but I'm pretty sure I'm ADD.
Okay.
I really, if I have to focus my attention for more than 10 or 15 minutes, I get antsy, nervous. Yeah. And that just plays havoc on organization, on project progress, and things like that. And I think I'm better at it now, but I wouldn't call myself good at it. Yeah. And that brings up, I know for Jodie, it brings up some angst.
A little bit. Yeah. Just the other day, or not the other day, but like a few weeks ago when we were setting up Christmas decorations, I went into, we both went into the garage, I got a box of something, and I was expecting him to get a box of something. I'm in there, and then I'm like, where did he go? I walk out, he's in the laundry room, which is in, a room off of our garage, because he's like, we need to get some towels done. I'm like, we were just doing Christmas decorations. Why did you wander off to do towels? He goes, oh yeah. He goes, oh, sorry. Let me get the box. Let me finish this towel, get these towels started. And then, and I'm like, okay, but that's his ADD or whatever, and I'm just like, okay, he's not here right now. What is he doing? And I try to be patient, but that's where I struggle, because I'm like, we were just doing this. We were just ringing boxes.
Yeah.
But
ADD and ADHD is a really good example of, at least in my office, this imposition or this condition that we don't battle. We're not kicking ADD's ass, right? We're actually just annoyed by how, like, I can't remember anything, and why aren't you on time, and we were just talking about this, and why can't I? And couples get into a lot of trouble because they don't objectify it. They make it about their partner and say, this is who you are, not a thing that's being imposed upon you. So I wonder if that's not a mindset shift. Not that I'm proposing strictly for the two of you, but just in general, it's like we have to figure out how to, again, externalize these things so that we don't punish our partner for having a condition that they really don't have any control over.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Because I really do think that I probably do get more frustrated with Glenn when I should be more frustrated with what he has and figure out how we can work together to, figure this out. There are bound to be tricks and treatments and things that you can do to help in those situations. But I guess we just didn't really think about that. That's a very good point in terms of like repositioning it.
I tend to think that like almost everything is about mindset, because you can have tips and tricks and tactics all day long. But if you're wielding them in an angry way, or you're wielding them with resentment, or if you're wielding them with some kind of grandiosity because I read the book and you didn't, then those tips and tricks and tactics aren't going to be helpful. But if you're like, hey, we're going to war against this cancer, or against this ADD, or against this depression or this addiction, then you can actually kind of test things out, try things out, and see, did that work, and how do we do, and what can we do better next time, and is this so.
No, that is a really good point, because I always think, why don't you put it on a Post-it note?
Yeah,
and I'll even put Post-it notes in his. But you're right. It's just not his way. But instead of me realizing that it's not him actively saying, Jodie, I hate your Post-it notes and I hate you and I don't want to do what you say, it's a case of his mind just works differently. And if he sees something in front of him, that's what's going to be where his attention is, no matter what list I've put together for him to do.
That's true. Yeah.
Well, thanks for the therapy.
Oh yeah, you're welcome. No problem. I'm glad that this platform exists for that. I'll tell you one thing I've been saying to clients this week in particular, because everybody's coming in, it's New Year's, and maybe it's just an interesting thought experiment for you or anybody who's listening. But I've been asking them, do you have any idea what your partner's number one complaint about their marriage is? So Glenn, do you have any idea what Jodie's number one complaint about her marriage is?
No.
Okay. Jodie, do you have any idea what Glenn's number one complaint about his marriage is?
Well, probably maybe me nagging about lists, but
all right, maybe.
Post-it notes.
Post-it notes.
Most people in my office, there's a problem, and they are aware of it, and they're willing to give it a name. So they're like, oh yeah, my number one. This lady just the other week, this last week, she said, I said to him, do you know what your wife's number one complaint about her marriage is? He's like, I'm not sure. And I go, well, I know. And I looked at her and I said, do you know? And she goes, I know. And then I said, do you want to guess? And so he said, is it that she doesn't feel heard? And I was like, bingo. And she was like, yes, we got it. So my new thing right now, and I don't know how long this will last, because I have this like hip pocket theory that February is the new January. So I get at least another few weeks out of it. But is on New Year's Eve, 2026, how about you just effort that the number one thing that is going to be true is that her complaint is not going to be that she doesn't feel heard. It can be something else. Like, I don't make lists, or I don't make very good lasagna, or I have still haven't figured out how to, put in the car seat. But it's not going to be my wife doesn't feel heard by me, as like your effort for the year that I'm going to remove this complaint, this one. But I don't know whether it's a strength or a red flag or pink flag that you're not aware of each other's number one complaint. Maybe you just don't have them, but I think understanding what your partner is grappling with and what their issue is, I think we have to play the long game in terms of just like you are with cancer, just like you are with ADD. You got to play the long game versus the short one. So,
that's a very insightful way to look at it, and to look at your New Year's resolution is that you won't be contributing to someone's negativity as opposed to you're changing anything or whatever it is you're doing.
Yeah, to me, it's more like I'm not gonna do nothing. I'm not gonna let the same story exist or take root or just be the same, right? How many people do you know who year over year they're like, yep, same old, yep, we're still dealing with this, yep, he still doesn't, yep, she's still and I'm saying, what if we just take that out of the equation and just make it interesting? The next year my problem is going to be something else, which at least gives us something creative to work on.
But you're assuming there's going to be another problem, so it's like it'll be something else. It'll still be a problem.
Yeah.
But no, that is very interesting to kind of think about that. And we do joke sometimes. It's like, you're supposed to put things like in a I feel statement. And sometimes they'll be like, I feel that you're being a goober right now. Or I feel that you're just messing things up instead of being I feel unheard or something like that. But I'll sometimes turn it around and, it's still I feel, but it's just not necessarily as
well. It's the way you phrased it. It's not a feeling; it's a judgment.
No,
right?
it's an
feelings. Feelings are things that happen inside of our body, and when you say I feel like. And especially when you say, I feel like you, we've moved outside of our body and into something else. And, got to be careful about that. I want to hear about what you guys are doing, like what's your shtick, because I want people to know that you have a way to be of service to couples and whatnot. And then I'll tell you one more story, and then we have to head into our year. But tell me what you guys are up to. What are Jodie and Glenn about?
Well, our Couples Inc. podcast is dedicated to people who own a business, are in business together, and are a couple. It's kind of self-explanatory there. What we try to do is the time that we've been in business together has been, 12 years now?
No. 14.
Okay. The time that we've been in business together, we've kind of learned a pattern and a rhythm that goes with our couplehood. And we try to take current business news and things like that and integrate into our podcast. But we also try to give what insight we can about our journey so far into the podcast and try to be of benefit to people who may be just starting their business. There's a lot of people now that are doing that with the economic situation and the landscape and work being what it is and what it has been the past 8 or 10 years.
Yeah. Well, part of it is we would tell people we work together, and people would be like, "Oh my God, I could never do that. I would kill my husband or whatever." I'm like, first of all, why so violent? But second, it's like, well, that's something different. Maybe you can't work together, but I find working with Glenn the best because there's a built-in trust, an inherent same mission, same goal. But sometimes the podcast discussion is just as much for us as it is for the listeners to talk about. What are some things that are coming up when a couple works together that we need to work through, things we should do, things we should stop doing, finding and identifying your role, how to set boundaries. These are things that we'll talk and have a conversation. We might bring in an expert to talk to us about things, whether it's a couples counselor or something business related. But part of it is just we got a chance to work on a project together outside of our client business. We have a marketing firm. Besides that, we wanted to work together, and we were like, you know what? We can't be the only ones who work together and face issues when you're working with a spouse that's different than working with any other business partner.
Yeah, right on. So the two businesses that you have your marketing firm and then also your podcast. Is that what you're talking about? Yeah, cool.
And our business is called Living Pink Communications because of our breast cancer.
Oh, right on.
So we're like living pink instead of, we're not dying from breast cancer, living pink together. So Living Pink Communications. And then Couples Inc. podcast.com is where you can find out more about our podcast. We have 2 episodes a month, first and third Wednesday. And like I said, we have conversations. Sometimes we bring in interviews, and we just, we want to talk about topics that are affecting people who own a micro business, small business, or even a larger business, but they're a couple, and how they can kind of manage the two sides.
Cool. I love it. Great. And then I want to tell you, thank you for that. I hope you guys, particularly if you're listening and you're in business with your partner, to check out Couples Inc. With Jodie and Glenn. And then I want to tell you about this one quick story because it's tied to this other story I told you, which is I met my wife in November of 1995. We went on our first date on January 11th of 1996. I was in this mindset where I was determined not to tell a woman that I loved her unless I was going to marry her. So I had told a lot of girls that I loved them. And I was 22 at the time. I don't even think I knew what love was, but I was like, not going to do it. I wasn't going to do it. So we were together for like a whole year. About halfway through 1996, in the summer, Rebecca told me she loved me, and I was like, oh, okay, thanks. I did the thing. I go, thanks, you know.
Oh no! Oh no!
But
breathing.
I know. Then in January 11th, 1997. I took Rebecca to the Olive Garden, and we rented a VHS of the American President. And on that day, I told her that I loved her and I proposed. So our first date was January 11th, 1996. We were engaged on January 11th, 1997. That's the first time I ever said I love you. And then I still love her. I still love her. And next week we're going to go to the Olive Garden. We're going to watch the American President, and we're going to sail off into the next whatever adventure that we have in front of us now that our kids have left home. But
that is sweet.
Just putting a little bow on our storytelling today.
Well, happy anniversary
thanks.
For your date, your first date.
I love that story.
That is great.
I'm really glad to have talked to you. I thank you. I hope that folks will check out your podcast, and I'm really grateful to hear about your story, particularly around the way you've navigated this cancer situation, because not a lot of people are at least in my world, are approaching it with as much courage and tenacity and connection as you guys are demonstrating. So thank you for that.
Thanks for having us. Absolutely enjoyed this.
Thank you so much to Glenn and Jodie for sharing their story with us, and really for just letting us know what resilience looks like and how you can stay connected in the face of adversity. Check out their podcast, which is called Couples Inc. They help couples who own small businesses work better together, and they're just cool people with a cool story, and I'm grateful that they were able to share it with us. Also, again, if you're interested in learning more about some date nights and ways that you can partner with one another and with Marriage Therapy Radio to make your life more interesting, go ahead and follow us at Marriage Therapy Radio on Instagram if you haven't done that already. And we'll be rolling out some stuff here pretty soon. We have one, Rebecca and I are testing one out this weekend that I'm excited to share with you. And we'll go from there. For now, I will thank you for the time and attention you're putting into making your relationship better today than it was yesterday.